Well, hey everyone, welcome out to my field once again. We are here with the OMP Hobby Challenger from Buddy RC, and it's a really cold day. We are about to get some pretty eventful snow over the course of 2 days, and wanted to make sure I get this in before that hits. It's a little bit windy. It's just really, really cold, but pretty sure my fingers will be plenty warmed up enough to get at least a maiden flight in. I've got a couple of other props that I want to try and give a shot. So let's get flying. Okay, well, here goes nothing. Speed. Speed, airspeed, not ground speed. That's on low rates. That's low rates. Low rates is not low. This is high rates.
Definitely flies light. Wind's blowing it around quite a bit. Looks like it's a good aerobatic trainer.
Quite precise. And again, this is currently on the rates. So I don't really know what to make of that. It needs to be dialed way, way back. If this is your second or third airplane.
Looks like you got the balance point about right though.
Just about. I think it's a little bit nose heavy, but not much.
Most aerobatic planes are usually a little nose heavy.
functioning, albeit cold. Windshield currently is telling us it's maybe around 20, 25, I would suspect. But the airplane flies great, and flies great in the wind. I will warn those who this is their second or maybe third plane. The rates that are recommended for low rates, probably dial those back by half. I would keep the amount of recommended expo, but the throws, it's touchy. Now this can be a really good beginner aerobatic plane. I definitely believe that. The ability to do some rolls and do some things pretty precise, it's pretty fun. There's a lot of really fun things that you can do with this, and it can be a decent trainer, although I wouldn't recommend it as an absolute trainer since there's no dihedral, there's no self-correcting. There is a little bit of the induced drag as you make turns where you need to carry through a little bit of rudder. But overall, very solid airplane. Handles wind just fine, as you can see. Brad, what was our wind blowing around at? Do we know?
We can check it later.
We can check it later. Okay, I'll put it right here.
I'm
now.
guessing 10 to 15.
Okay. So with that said, I'm gonna try to get some B-roll, and I'll try out some different props here, and I'll take it back to the shop, and we'll follow up there.
That's already rolling.
All right.
That Ronnie thinks I'm smart.
Whoa!
3 takeoffs and 1 flight.
See how this goes. That's half throttle.
The takeoff looked a little smoother than your last couple.
Well, I'm getting to know the airplane too. All right.
Did you check the power draw on it?
Not yet. Ability definitely doesn't seem quite as snappy. I think that's because I'm stalling the prop a bit. There's no point.
Sure there is. It's right on the front of the plane.
Well, welcome back to the shop. It's it was a good drive home. Got my fingers nice and thawed out and working again. So a couple of things about the Challenger here. I want to say that I'm surprised with how robust the landing gear is for how light the airplane is. It certainly flies like a very light model. I will say that if I were to choose a different prop other than the stock one, which is very, very well sized for this airplane, I would definitely choose an 11.6, go down in diameter and pitch. And the reason that I say that is that I did not seem to lose much speed with the 11.6 prop, and I'm drawing a little bit less current, so about 60-70 watts less. But it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't seem to lose speed, but I definitely feel like I pick up some added thrust, which makes the airplane a little bit more controllable. The controllability of the airplane is nice because I feel like this could be a really, really good beginner aerobatic kind of airplane, as well as something that's a step up from a trainer. Other than that, there's other things that I can play with, like flapper-ons, but it really doesn't need it. It slows down quite well. I mean, other than doing some crazy stuff like that, it really doesn't need any other throw adjustments. I will reiterate that for your first flight on this airplane, I would use the recommended low rate in the instruction as your high rates, and then go from there. Certainly half of what the recommended weights and throws and whatnot. So yeah, it was touchy, and I was taking off on low rates, and it kind of scared me at how touchy it was. Nothing wrong with that, but something to be aware of for sure. Other than that, I think the airplane is very, very solid. There's a lot of flexibility with this airplane. There's nothing to say that you can't use it as a step up from a trainer. It does knife edge fairly well. There's a little bit of coupling that you have to compensate for. Definitely an airplane that you should be using rudder in turns with, just to coordinate things a little bit. Again, that's mostly because of the very flat wing, no dihedral. And justifiably so. This is not a trainer. This is not a beginner airplane. This is something to use after you've learned how to fly. And if this is your first balsa airplane after playing with foamies, this is a great, great airplane for that. Super lightweight, simple construction. It's going to be easy to repair if you dork up the landing gear. It's just overall very easy airplane to work on, easy airplane to fly, program, etc. Now, as far as anything else goes, I think the build quality is very, very good. I will note that the landing gear, the wheel hubs right here, those did not need any additional tightening. However, the part that attaches to the gear itself, these bolts right here, those did have to be tightened a little bit. Seems like there's some Loctite on it, but I didn't check those for sure. But I did check the torque on the motor bolts, and those definitely have Loctite on them. I was able to break them just a little bit, but that I think I was over tightening at that point. So minor. I would only really be truly concerned about the inner hub bolts, not necessarily the ones that hold the wheels on. Other than that, the control surfaces seem fine. In the speeds that I was flying, I didn't notice any particular amount of flutter. I don't necessarily want to fly this airplane fast because your control linkages, while they're short, I think they may have a little tendency to flex. I don't think that these are a high grade of steel, and they don't have a whole lot of rigidity into them. I feel like if I just try to bend them with fingers, they would bend pretty easily and not bend back straight, that is. So with that, you know, I feel like this is a really good airplane, also because it's easy to see. It's easy to see in the sky, and that is saying something. Airplanes that are easy to see, you're able to do some maneuvers that you may not necessarily on other airplanes. The batteries stayed nice and cool, doing all sorts of stuff and trying to keep up in the wind. I was getting about 4 or 5 minutes of flying time in. I was playing it a little bit safe because I was doing thrusts tests at the end. But that being said, 5 minutes of vigorous flying, I'm sure that can easily be stretched to 7 or 8 minutes of average flying time, which is flying the pattern and enjoying yourself. So set your flight timers accordingly. Again, I'm flying with a 3S 2200 pack. I was using a graphene pack as well as a normal LiPo pack, and having the battery shoved all the way forward didn't really make much of a difference between the two different packs, even though they are different weights. Felt a little bit nose heavy, but I kind of like a nose heavy airplane. In some attitudes, it kind of ballooned up, but again, it was a really windy day, so I couldn't really do fine adjustments in terms of my trims. Out of the box, no trims. I didn't feel like I needed any trim at all. So it builds very straight, it's very true, and it flies very honest as well. Other than that, the last thing that I would recommend is that if you have it, an M6 tap. If you have an M6 tap, the bolts that are in the wings, there's blind nuts in there that the nylon screws go into to hold the wings onto the fuselage. If you use a tap to sort of clear out those blind nuts, it will really help make screwing in those nylon bolts a little bit easier for you. Just because it is a pretty confined space and I've got pretty big hands, I felt that made things a lot easier for me. I'm happy with this plane. I'm happy that I was able to provide this review. I hope you guys find it fun and entertaining. I think that a lot of people will find a lot of value in this airplane. For 200 bucks, it comes right out of the box ready to go, and I'm telling you, it's worth 200 bucks. You know, you can find other airplanes about the same size, but you could easily put flaps on this and make it a STOL airplane. You can modify the wheels and put some big bush tires on it. There's a lot of potential for this airplane, and I think that people could have a lot of fun with it and be very imaginative with how they're going to use it. So until next time, guys, I hope you find some really great, versatile works of art.